time we ever talk to God is when things go bad. Down at the schoolhouse, God is not welcome till somebody comes in the schoolhouse and murders someone with a gun. I can't help but think sometime if we had held those prayer vigils before the shooting, maybe the shooting never would have happened.
With the shout of triumph, rapture we shall be, rising through the clouds to glory for Jesus we shall see.
Welcome to the Voice of Triumph with Roger R. Woodard, Senior Pastor of Family Worship Center located in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. Pastor Woodard's ministry is reaching a hurting world with the life-changing message of Jesus Christ. Now, from Kings Mountain, North Carolina, here is Pastor Roger R. Woodard.
You need to be reminded of this. Galatians 5:1. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. I want you to think about something. Tuesday, you have the freedom to vote. When you get ready to go vote, I want you to think about something. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're a woman. No matter what time in this nation you got the right to vote or how you got it, I want you to think of something. I want you to think of all the people who came before you who never had that right. Think about them. Male, female, white, black, European, Native American, never had the right to vote. Never had the right to have their voice heard. Never had it. Desperately wished for it, but never had it. Never had the freedom to express themselves. Not through speaking, not through song, not through self-expression. Never had the freedom to be who they want to be. Think about all those people. And then I want you to think about the inordinate amount of people in this free society that we have that will not even turn their heads or their minds towards voting, much less turn their feet towards going to do so. Jesus Christ has set us free from a number of things. I can stand here all day long and tell you about the things that Jesus Christ has set me free from and is trying to set me free from. I'm still working on some of them. I'm still 300 plus pounds, so donuts is one of them things I'm trying to get free of. I'm on a pretty good track right now. Donuts are the least of my worries right now. But why in the world would I return back to being silent? Why in the world would I return back to not speaking? April 3rd, 2018, God gave me a platform in a small city in North Carolina, a medium-sized city in North Carolina, to voice my opinion. And he took that video and shared it with hundreds of millions of people. Hundreds of millions of people who in some ways had their lives transformed through what I said. It was an affirmation of what many of them thought. They thought they were alone in their thoughts. And then here they are, some fellow from rural North Carolina, a white man from rural North Carolina, listening to a guy who is from urban Greensboro, North Carolina, saying the same thing that he is thinking, that he simply wants to be free and left alone to do what is right and wants his government to do the same thing. And it sparked something in that person's mind that he is not alone. Now I want you to think what would have happened had I not gotten up that night to speak. Had I not been walking with God that night and allowed God to use me that night the same way he used me that Sunday morning when I sang Great Is Thy Faithfulness. In many ways, when I opened my mouth at that city council, again, I was set free from a self-imposed bondage that told me I did not have the right to speak up because I wasn't educated enough, because I didn't come from the right side of town, because I didn't look the right way, because I didn't have enough Bible training, because I didn't have enough political training or political experience. I didn't have the right to speak up. Be reminded of something. Your rights don't come from any man. Your rights come from God first and foremost. And I don't care how many PhDs and ABCs and 1, 2, 3s you got behind your name. If you don't have the wisdom of God inside you, your education is worthless. You don't think that's the truth? I want you to think about that college professor that's got all them degrees hanging on his wall that thinks a man can have a baby. That thinks that there's more than two genders. That uses the phrase birthing people. You're a little too educated for me. I don't want no piece of your education. You need some wisdom is what you need. Some good old common sense and wisdom is what you need. But that's where that ability comes from. The night I gave that speech, it was freeing. Freeing, I'm telling you, it set me free. I can go back and tell you how that came about. It came about through a conversation that I had with God, face to face in the mirror. A little house, a little rental house I was living in on Sassafras Court in Greensboro. I was going to school full time, working full time, making plans to do what I wanted to do for God. You hear what I said? I was making plans to do what I wanted to do for God. Well, I'm going to go to school, and that's how I'm going to connect these kids, and I'm going to see if I can't slip some Jesus into it through these history lessons. And that's what I'm going to do for you, Jesus. Is that good enough for you? Going to have to be, because that's what I want to do. And it seemed like at every turn of trying to do what I wanted to do for Jesus, here comes a stumbling block. Job got pulled out from underneath me, got sent to Mexico. Stumbling block. Go to the next job. Job wants more out of me than I can put into the school. Stumbling block. Professors at school don't like me because I'm a Christian conservative. Stumbling block. One day I'm laying in bed and I realized something. I was asking the wrong question. The question is not, God, what am I going to do for you? The question is, God, what do you want me to do for you? What mission do you want me to go on? And more to the point is this: you have to surrender yourself and free yourself in Him to allow Him to use you to do what He wants you to do. And so I got up off my behind and walked, and I looked in the mirror. I told God face to face in that mirror, I told Him, I said, whatever it is you want me to do, I'll do it. If you want me to take my Bible and go to downtown Greensboro or Winston or High Point or all three and preach on the street corner to the people that are passing by and be that crazy John the Baptist-like preacher who is proclaiming the name of Jesus on a street corner, I'll do it. If you want me to go down to the crack house and reach out to the drug addicts and the drug dealers and tell them that the drugs are not the way, that Jesus is the way, I'll do it. If you want me to pack up all that I own in my family and go across the ocean and preach to the natives who have never heard the name of Jesus Christ, I will do it. Whatever you want me to do, I am now in your army. Do with me as you will. Well, you see, there's a premise that I didn't understand at the time. See, I used to be in the United. How many of y'all was in the Army? Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, in it? How many of y'all was in? A little girl over there raised her hand, said she was in the Marines. I didn't know they took them that young. How many of y'all know that's in the military? Y'all know something, one simple premise. When you belong to Uncle Sam, you don't get to write your own orders. We all wrote our own orders. Guess what they would look like? Let's see. Write my own orders. I want to be a beach bum in Hawaii. I never want to see combat. Never want to do PT again. For those of y'all who don't know, that's physical training. Yeah, want to have lobster every day. And I want to be a general. You don't get to do that in the Army. You join, you choose your job, that's about as far as it goes, and then they send you where they want to send you. And they tell you what to wear, and they tell you where to go, and they tell you what to do because you're not there to serve yourself. You're there to serve Uncle Sam. You're there to serve the United States of America. The same thing is true with God. You sign up to ride with God, this ain't your show, baby. You don't get to decide. Well, God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. God is the same way Uncle Sam is. All right, you don't want to do that? Well, there's somebody else out there to do it. You want to miss your calling, block your blessing, block your destiny, never reach your destiny, never be what I created you to be? Go on and keep telling me what you're going to do. And stop letting me use you for what I intended to have you do from the moment you came out of your womb. So many of us never reach the potential that we can reach because we don't set ourselves free from our own bondage, our own self-imposed bondage of saying that we can't. We're afraid. Somebody told us we can't. Somebody told us our people came from the wrong side of the track. Somebody told us we don't talk just right. Somebody told us we got too much of a twang in our voice to make a difference. No one's going to listen to you with that hick voice of yours. God's not listening to any of that. The moment you were formed in your womb, God numbered every hair on your head. And he knew what he intended for you to do. We have to release ourselves and allow ourselves to be who he created us to be. When we do that, we are free. We are free to be used by him and for his glory. And that is freedom indeed. I can tell you that right now. That is freedom indeed. I am a very odd elected official. You are not going to hear too many elected officials say the things that I say, the way that I say them. I have stood on the stage, in the pulpits of churches and said, I don't care how much you cut yourself up, drug yourself up, dress yourself up, and make yourself up. You are still either a man or a woman. I don't care. That Secretary of Health and Human Services that Joe Biden hired, that's a man in a dress. Now, some of these senators and congressmen, they may not say that. That don't make me no difference, but I'm going to say it. It's time for somebody to step off the curb like that little boy in that story, you know, the emperor's new clothes. Time for somebody to step off the curb and say, hey, hold on. That man is naked. He does not have any clothes on. He ain't got no new clothes on. It's time for somebody to stand up and say, that's a boy in that pool down there swimming with them girls. He ain't setting no records. He's setting us back. That's what he's setting us. And people ask me, why are you afraid to say this stuff? What am I be afraid of? What? The news media? I'm supposed to be afraid of them? What are they, my mama with a switch? I love it when they say, oh, Lieutenant Governor Robbins is in hot water. Only time I'm in hot water is when I'm taking a shower, and I kind of like that. And in your hot water, I ain't in trouble with you. What you gonna take from me? More to the point, what have you given me? You ain't given me a thing up to and including this seat. This was ordained by God, blessed by God, and I was put in it by God. And if I'm removed from it, it'll be by God because he has something else he wants me to do for his glory. You don't own this here. And so I don't fear you. In fact, I stand in direct opposition to you because, let's just go ahead and say it plain. There's a father of lies out there. That one-eyed John we got hanging up on the wall in our living rooms. That one-eyed bandit called the television. Turn it on for 15 minutes and you'll hear 15 minutes of lies. Despicable lies trying to lead you down the rabbit hole to hell. Trying to lead your children down the rabbit hole to hell. Trying to make you feel like you're less than. You ever notice that? From the inception of television has set out to make normal people seem like they are less than. You know, you ain't a real family unless you like the Beaver Cleavers. You're not a real family unless you like the Brady Bunch. You're not a real housewife unless you like the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Television is the father of lies. Matter of fact, I don't want to go all conspiratorial on y'all, but the Bible says that the devil is an angel of light come down to earth. That's what it says. Now I want you to think about what television is. Television is literally light particles scientifically broken down. They fly through the air, those light particles fly through the air, and the receiver of the set in your home picks those light particles up, reforms those light particles, and beams them directly towards you. Angel of light. Father of all those lies is the news media that we currently have, that carries water for every wickedness that we see coming down the pike. They affirm it, they back it up, and if you go against it, guess what? Oh, we're going to get you. We're going to get you, Mr. Pastor. We're going to get you, Mr. Politician. We're going to get you, Mr. Rap Star, who's exposing what we're doing in this industry. We're going to get you, because you ain't supposed to speak the truth. You know how to make a liar uncomfortable? Keep asking them questions. Keep questioning what they're saying. Eventually, they're going to get back to the point where they're, well, I just don't want to talk about this anymore. I saw a video of that. A fellow named Matt Walsh was talking to this transgender guy. And the transgender guy says to this fellow Matt Walsh, you don't get to question me. Now, this is a man posing as a woman. You don't get to question me as a man. You don't get to ask me what a woman is. You don't know what a woman is. So I'm a woman, so you can't ask me what a woman is. The guy, Matt Walsh, says, well, that's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. He says, no, it's not. I'm a woman, even though you don't think I am one, but you can't define a woman. I define a woman because I am a woman. Y'all lost yet? So you can't question me. This guy looked at him, Matt Walsh looked at him and asked him one simple question. He said, sir, are you a cat? He said, no, I'm not a cat. He looked at him and said, can you define what a cat is? The guy looked at him and said, clearly I've made a mistake here, and he walked off. Simple truths. Simple truths. What we're dealing with in our society today is a lack of that. And why? Because we have put ourselves in a self-imposed bondage. Our border is wide open. Inflation is through the roof. Crime is out of control. Our education departments are in a free fall. We are literally delivering pornography to our children via our school systems. We're taking our children down to see the drag queens at the library and at the museum. And some churches are even inviting those people to be pastors in their church. Self-imposed bondage that Jesus Christ came to this earth, was whipped and died to free us from. And we, like the proverbial dog, are returning right back to the vomit that he freed us out of. Why? Why? Because to a large extent, we have forgotten who Jesus Christ really is. We've forgotten. We've forgotten who Jesus Christ is, and more importantly, we have forgotten who Jesus Christ came here to be. You see, we have a problem in this country. We love Christmas. We love Christmas. We go all year. I just figured this out in my life. We go all year waiting for Christmas. Now, some of y'all looking like, no, I don't wait all year. Yes, you do. Tell the truth. You know you love Christmas. You love the commercials. You love the music. You love the little kids with the presents. You love the tree. You love decorating the house. Well, maybe not that part. We love it. We love the whole pomp around Christmas. But here's what we don't like about Christmas. We don't like the circumstance of Christmas. Remember that? You know, it's an old graduation song. Da, 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 da. How many of y'all know that was a military march? That has nothing to do with graduating from college. That's a military march. And it's called Pomp and Circumstance. Pomp is the processional. It is what you show. It's what you do on the outside. It's the military marching off in their uniforms. Circumstance is the blood and guts of war, the disability after war, the sadness and death and destruction that war brings is the circumstance. We love the pomp of Christmas. We love the part about Jesus coming in a manger and being a little weak baby, and we love to tell our children that story. We love to say, oh, Jesus came meek and mild, and he was so loving. Oh, he's so cute. We love that part of the Christmas story. We don't even get right down to brass tacks about the Christmas story and its terribleness and its awfulness, what it says about humanity, the real commentary that it makes about humanity, that the King of all of the universe, in order to get next to us, he had to lower himself down to the lowest form of life for us to appreciate him. He had to come down here and be one of us and walk with one of us, ultimately bleed and die as one of us, suffer as one of us, for us to appreciate who he is. And we still don't. We still don't. We still, many of us think of him as that little babe in the crib. We think of him as that little child, you know, the child Jesus. We still think of him. Many of us still think of him as that image on the cross, hanging on the cross, bleeding and dying and suffering. That's what we think of. I'll tell you what's really going to set us free when we start thinking about it. What's really going to set us free from our fears, from our anxieties, for our refusal to be who he wants us to be because of those fears and anxieties, because of what the news media has told you, because of what Hollywood has told you, because of what your friends tell you, because your friends call you a Bible thumper, or you might think that you look a little too religious. You're going to be laughed at, scorned, derided in public. You're not going to fit in with your friends if you accept who Jesus Christ is and move away from the bondage that this earth is trying to hold you in. Now we get away from that. We get away from that by realizing who God is and who Jesus Christ really is. Jesus Christ came to earth and sacrificed himself for us. Indeed, he did. He came in meekness and in mildness he came. Meekness and in mildness he came down. He died on that cross, suffering and bleeding. He did. We thank God for it. But when you think about him dying on that cross, you think about him hanging on that cross, he is giving you a sample of who he is. He is not weak. He is not weak. For a weak man could never have suffered and died on that cross, knowing that he had the power of the universe in his hands. Anytime he could have clapped his hands, we could have all been gone. He had all the power in the universe in his hands, but he set it down to serve us so that we could sit here today and declare his name and be saved in his name. You want his strength? You want his power? You remember not just how he came. Just don't remember how he died. I want you to remember how he's coming back. You see, when he came the first time, he came looking for a place at the end. He came as a babe, wrapped in swaddling clothes, laying in a lowly manger. When he died on the cross, he died crying out to his Father in heaven, bleeding and broken, as a living sacrifice for all of us. But I can tell you what, when he comes back, oh, it's a whole different picture. It's a whole different picture coming back. When he comes back to set this world free from the devil and his enemies. Revelation 19:11 says, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness does he judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword. With it he should smite the nations. He shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of God. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That's who Jesus Christ is. That's who he was when he came. Just like when I was that little boy sitting in church, wouldn't open my mouth to sing. I was that prolific singer then. God just didn't have me prepared to do it. Just like when I was a poor child in Greensboro, I was already the lieutenant governor. God just hadn't put me there yet. And Jesus Christ is the victor over this earth. He was the victor when he came the first time. He was the victor when he died on the cross. And he's going to be the victor when he comes riding on that white horse. When we remember that, that's how we set ourselves free from the bondage of not being good enough, not being smart enough, not coming from the right side of the tracks, not being the right color, not being from the right lineage, not having enough political experience. That's how we set ourselves free from that self-imposed bondage that the devil so desperately wants you to stay in. Follow Jesus and remember who he is. And he will set you free and make you the person he intended you to be. God bless you all. God bless this church, and God bless the great state of North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for Voice of Triumph. We invite you to check out our website at www.familyworship.org. There you will find information on our church service times, special events, purchase our books and music, and also information on becoming a partner as we continue to take the life-changing message of Jesus Christ to a hurting world. If you'd like to write us concerning our program, our address is The Voice of Triumph, P.O. Box 396, Kings Mountain, 28086, USA. On behalf of Pastor Woodard and the entire Family Worship Center team, God bless you, and we'll see you next week.